And as you just heard, this meeting is recorded. So this is Rosa Maimi. I'm the Director of Engagement and Membership here at AGU. And as a reminder, this is the meeting for section leaders and others. This is more of what I would call the operational side of the house, where staff will come in and talk to you about things that are happening that are of importance, hopefully to sections, but also we often do a section spotlight like we're going to do here today, where sections can talk to each other about things that you're working on. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Let's go through the agenda. So we're doing the welcome here. We're going to do a review of Honors Explorer, which is our new soon-to-be live database on honors, and also updating our honors web pages. We'll have an AGU 23 update, OSPA, and then our section spotlight today will be Atmospheric Sciences, where Allison and I think Amy will be talking about student and early career events for AGU 23, and as usual, open mic. So why don't we go ahead and get started and hand it over to Heather Lent, who is in our digital innovations team, who's going to tell us a little bit about the Honors Explorer tool. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for this opportunity to share this with you. I'm really excited. All right, so we've been working on this for about a year now. Just real quick, this came to be when Hannah Hoffman approached me about just kind of redoing the fellows search. She wanted to make it easier for people to find out who had been an AGU fellow. And as we started to kind of dig into the requirements, we realized that there was no one way to identify past awardees, right? There was different pages, but there wasn't a kind of holistic source for all of that information. And so we turned it into a much bigger project, as you'll see. So the pain points of the current platform, it's not organized in a user intuitive way. It's organized by AGU department. And when you're looking for an award for a candidate, you don't care who administers it. You just want to know what the awards are, right? What the characteristics are. It's difficult to find basic information. Things are organized in kind of a non-consistent way. No holistic view of nomination patterns and gaps. Difficult for users to understand what awards are appropriate for their nominees. It doesn't reflect the prestige of the incredible AGU Honors program, right? We wanted to kind of give it a facelift, and it's in time intensive for staff to maintain. So, next slide, please. Thank you. So the components of the new platform, and you can see a screenshot here, and on the next slide, I'll give you kind of a quick peek preview of the platform. So we've redesigned the individual honors pages. We took a really broad understanding of what an honor is. So basically, if it's something that's merit-based, if it's something that someone would want to put on their CV, we considered it an honor. So that includes grants, anything from grants to UMAP awards. We redesigned the entire honors program page. We created new, easy to navigate policies and FAQs about the honors program. And we created, I think most excitingly, a searchable and browsable database of all honors and honorees at AGU. And we added a ton of filters, and we'll be increasing that over time, but filters that feature key terms, demographic data on past awardees, and more. And links out to AGU profiles, which will also be getting a facelift in the coming months. All right. All right, so this is going to go fast. I'm going to do my best to narrate over this, but Joshua, can you press play on the, yeah, thank you. All right, so this is the new honors program page. This is the Honors Explorer. So this is the database that lists all of the different awards, and this is the database that lists all of our past recipients. You can filter by, and we'll be adding the award name to that, by the way. You can filter by regional affiliation. You can filter by career stage at time that the award was won. Oh, is it stuck? Oh, shoot. Oh, no. There we go. And that really is to give people a better sense for whether their candidate or themselves are a good candidate for this particular award. So back to the honors database, once you've kind of selected the honor that you're interested in you can filter by award details, whether it, accepts self-nominations, whether it includes a lecture, that kind of thing, career stage that it's intended for, key terms, and let's see. And these key terms, we kind of did some data analysis of all of the different awards to pull some kind of key terms that were patterns across, across the entire program. All right, so now we've narrowed it down to the William Gilbert Award in this case. So this is an example of the new of a new honors page. You can see that we've created new easy to navigate policy page. You can search. And then we have really clear information about what's required for the nomination package, who's on the selection committee, what the key duties are, and then who are the past recipients for this award. And then it's really, again, easy to find out who's won a past award, so you don't, nominate them again, for example. So you can search by, date. Again, all of the other filters we showed you before, and you can search within the results, which is nice. All right, so I believe that is the end of the sneak peek. You want to go to the next slide? Oh, nope, there's more. Yeah, no, it's just starting again. Will you go to the next slide, Josh? Thank you. So the goals for the new platform are improved diversity and volume of nominations. Increased transparency will breed increased trust in the nominations process. Nomination processes that are easier to navigate and so take less time for users to accomplish. Giving users an informed understanding of appropriate awards for themselves and their nominees. Decreased reliance on staff to answer basic questions, and a system that supports and advances the amazing work that the honors team is doing on the awards audit. And then just real quick, the current status is it's live, but it's not accessible to the public yet. We're waiting until the September honoree announcement. So it'll be live on September 13th. Thank you. And that is it.
Heather, for sharing that. Does anyone have any questions about the database that anyone wants to ask? Oh, Amy, go ahead. I see your hand is up.
Hi, thanks so much. That's great to see that. I've been involved in the awards committees for a while, and the atmospheric science canvassing committee. So I think it will be helpful for lots of different groups. One question, you mentioned FAQs. That was something that we actually developed in our atmospheric science canvassing committee, FAQs about the nominations process. And I'm wondering, that might be helpful to you, and I'm also kind of curious about what kind of FAQs you have there, because our big issue was, I think the biggest bottleneck in this process is actually getting the nominations in. And so we've been trying to smooth that process to help lead people through from, beginning to end. And that's what our FAQs are about. So if that's helpful, we might want to have a discussion.
That would be really helpful. So just real quick, the way that we've organized the FAQs is we have kind of for consistency's sake, we have a set that apply to section honors, UMAP honors, and then the fellows, honors. And those are sort of just the base set of FAQs that apply to that type of award, but then we can always add in additional FAQs that are specific to that award. So yeah, if you send those to me, I'd be happy to get them added.
And this is Rosa, just to add in, and Amy, in case one of the things that I oversee is the honors program. As you know, we're going to be we've had an audit, and we're going to be applying some innovations to the program that will, kind of probably affect the overall FAQs and how we talk about the program. So if you could send that my way, and actually the September call for section leaders, we're going to talk about those honors innovations as well as canvassing committees. Actually, Amy, I was going to reach out to you to see if you could help us with that on our next call, but we would love to see what you have. Thank you. And I will put the email here. Also, before we move on to the next topic, I did want to acknowledge Janice LaChance, who is our acting interim CEO, and see if you'd like to come on and say hello to us.
Oh, hi, Rosa, and hello, everybody. I just wanted to pop in and participate in this conversation. Actually, not even participate, just listen and lurk, because our sections are really the heart of this organization. And so supporting you, giving you the information you need to be successful is a priority and very, very important to us. I also want to thank the people who are on this call the week before Labor Day weekend. That's impressive. I know there's a lot of folks who are on vacation. So having you here is really terrific. And I hope you're as excited as I am about what the staff is introducing you to today. That new website, I think, is going to help our community really clarify and have access to the information they need to take advantage of the honors program the way it was intended, so that we really do recognize in some very public ways the great work that AGU scientists are doing around the world. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you're as excited as I am about some of the announcements that are going to be made today and what we're introducing you to. So thank you. And I'm here to answer questions, although guess what? I'll probably defer to Rosa and Suzanne and their teams because they know a whole lot more about everything than I do, but we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Janice. I really appreciate your coming on. And I did want to, just to follow up with Heather on what Heather was saying, I did want to reemphasize that, yes, speaking of announcements, September 13th is when the honorees will be publicly announced. So we are really excited about that. And they will be honored and recognized at AGU 23 in December. So more to come on that, including again on the September version of this call. So with that, why don't we move on to the next topic, which I believe is AGU 23, speaking of which. So we'll bring back up the slides. There we go. So Suzanne, if you could come on and let us know what's up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Suzanne Davison, Director of Meetings. And we are, just to give you kind of how many days, we're 106 days out before opening session. So time is going by very quickly, and we still, there's still a lot of planning going on, but we're very excited with our abstract submission numbers. Josh, you want to go to the next slide? So our abstract submission was August 3rd, and this is our third highest total. You can see we had over 25,000 submissions. And again, we are, it's the third highest total. We're expecting over 21,000 in person and about 1,500 for online. And our top 5 countries are listed here. We see a turnout, a higher turnout each year with them. And then our member type, we're seeing an increase from 2022 as well. Josh, you want to go to the next one? Okay. And then our key milestones for this year, just to keep in mind, we have open registration. Registration opened the 22nd of August. We're seeing a pacing rate of 1,000 more than our 22 registrations, which we're very excited about. And we're seeing right now it's about 98% in person, 2% virtual. And we know that will kind of shift through the process. But we do, want to remind you that it's open. I know housing goes quickly. So if you have any challenges with the process, please reach out to our team. We're here to help you. The other critical milestone is the fall meeting, program committee scheduling meeting, which is taking place at the AGU office. And Nicole's team will be, it's actually Nicole's team and several other staff members who will be in the week of the 6th, just to, support the program committee with the scheduling process. And once they're done, we do a little cleaning up, and then the program will go live October 3rd, and that's when the acceptance letters will go out as well. And then just to kind of give everybody a critical deadline of the early bird is the 2nd of November. We want to make sure that, you know, that's when the rates will increase after the 2nd. So we want to make sure, you know, people take advantage of that early bird deadline. Next slide. Okay, so I know everybody's kind of familiar with Moscone Center, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of where things are going to be placed this year, you know, because every year it changes. Next slide. All right, so we are again in 3 buildings. We're in Moscone North, Moscone West, and Moscone South. And Moscone South and North are connected. West, you would still have to go outside to get to the West building. I'll go to the next slide. And this just gives you a different view of the halls, the meeting rooms. And yeah, I know Rosa, I think will share this with your team, yeah, with all of you, just to give you a better visual of where things are. Next slide. Okay, so in West, we're going to place the main registration back in the lower lobby or the exhibit hall area in West. We'll also have a coat check. But new this year, we're going to move the speaker ready room down to the main floor next to registration. That's actually going to give us more of an extra meeting space in West, which will give us, you know, that space back and be able to use it fully for the scientific program. Next slide. And this just kind of gives you all the rooms that are going to be available for the scientific program. This is where the scheduling will take place next week, and Nicole's team will be assigning and working with the committee on assigning the sessions. And then this is just the level 3 of the oral sessions. Next slide. Okay, so then we go over to the north and south buildings. And just to kind of give you an overview of what's taking place in this area, you'll have the exhibit hall, the plenary room, the AGU store, e-lightning theater, and the poster hall. And I'll give you a better visual of this in the next slide. Okay, so in the North Exhibit Hall level, right now we're at over 240 exhibitor companies that have purchased a booth, and we're still selling, which is great. We're going to keep doing that. And then we're going to place the Career Center, Theater, Open Science booth, Pubs booth, Brain Date, Relax and Refresh Lounge, the Headshot Lounge, Puppy Play Zone. We're excited about the puppies coming. That will all take place in the exhibit hall. And then again, you'll see in the rooms where it's orange, that's where it's going to be the plenary room, which I think everybody's familiar with that space. And then the AGU store is in the green. And then in the south, when you come down the escalators in south, to the right, you'll see the e-lightning theater. It's going to be the open concept. I don't know if many of you had gone to 2019 meeting where we had the AGU Central, the Centennial Theater to the right. This is going to be the new location for the e-lightning theater, which we are bringing back from 2021. And then again, we'll have the poster hall area, and new in the poster hall area, we are creating park lounges to provide more seating for attendees, more engagement areas. So we'll provide more information on those locations. But this is a great opportunity to kind of be able to engage everyone in the poster hall. Next slide. All right, so in the north and south upper lobby, where in north, you're going to have just the press and exhibitor registration, normal coat check. We'll have some meeting rooms where the meeting rooms are for attendees to be able to go and sign up, first come, first serve. There'll be a sign up sheet outside the room. So those will be posted throughout the week. And, again, they're first come, first serve. We'll have a mother's room in North, and there's also a mother's room in South, but we'll have a family room, and the Mama Vase are also in South. And in South, we're going to try something new this year. We're going to create these satellite scan and go registration tables, and they're going to be available on Sunday and Monday. And then on on Tuesday, they'll flip over to engagement areas for attendees to be able to use them to have, quick meetings, meet with your colleagues throughout the week. So we're trying to, reuse the space because after Monday, registration slows down. So we were trying to find unique ways to create, these spaces for attendees throughout the week. And then we'll also have the poster pickup and another area, Editor's Lounge. We used to have that on another level, but we're bringing it down to the main level. So that'll be a new feature for the editors. And then again, we will have code check as well. Next slide. And then this is just a visual kind of the meeting rooms. Just kind of, you'll see like in yellow and red, those are the meeting rooms for attendees, and then the mother's room. Next slide. And then in South, we will have the poster pickup area. Again, this is just a different view. You'll see the yellow is the poster pickup area and the satellite registration. Next slide. And again, these are just the oral session rooms. Everybody's familiar with the Esplanade area. And then we will also have our micro learning sessions that will take place throughout the week. And then more oral session rooms on level 2. And then we get to level 3. So level 3 is where we're going to have the press room, which is all in orange. And then we will have the donors and patron lounge that is in the purple. And the other 2 rooms are, I believe, they are the union and innovation rooms. And then we go to the South lower mezzanine. This is where we are bringing back childcare. So I know the last 2 years we have not had childcare, but we are working with Kitty Court this year, and we will be putting up more information on that in the next week to get people to register for the childcare. We will have the prayer room, family room, as well as yoga, and that will go live. We'll have a registration for the yoga, which will go live in October. And our headquarter hotel is the Marriott Marquis. I think everybody's familiar with that. And it's just about 0.2 miles from the convention center. Just kind of give you a visual if anybody hasn't been to San Francisco. Next slide. And then this is just kind of an overview of what will take place throughout the week at the Marriott. And many of your section events will take place there. I think everybody's familiar with the salon rooms. We are taking full use of the hotel for that Tuesday evening. We'll be in the Yerba Buena and also in the Golden Gate rooms. And then again, here's just another overview of the Golden Gate rooms and what's going to take place throughout the week. Next slide. And then the second headquarter hotel is our Intercontinental. We'll have events. It's a smaller footprint, but we will have events throughout the week as well at the Intercontinental. And again, this just gives you a visual of the distance. Next slide. And so again, the 3rd floor, we will be doing the council meeting. We'll have board meeting there and section events. And then this is just where we're going to have one of the section events throughout the week. And again, more section events. Are there any questions? I know there was a lot of information, but we're really, really excited that things are coming together. Staff are really collaborating to try to find, new ways to create engagement areas. And so I'm hoping that, you'll see a lot of new activities throughout the week. And again, we will give you more information as things get developed.
So much, Suzanne. We really appreciate it. Did anyone have any questions or comments?
I have one quick question, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was just wondering, I noticed I was able to sign up for hotels and my students were able to sign up for hotels before the 22nd deadline. Was that like a glitch in the system, or I don't know, I thought it was a little bit unfair. So I was wondering why that happened.
It's a soft launch because we are still testing, and people do find it, find that, that it's open. But we don't do the marketing push until the 22nd.
Okay. And is there like a technical reason that it's just the system, you need it to be fully launched so you can test everything, or?
Well, we've tested everything, but it's just a soft launch, as I said, in case there's any things like kinks that we need to work out. It's that first couple of days to give us time. So like, for instance, if you're somebody on your team went and registered and they found an issue, then we would be able to fix it before going live for 25,000 people to go in and register at one time.
Well, we do soft launch it every year, but if you had someone who had trouble getting a room or securing a room, please let us know, because we can absolutely help with that.
Oh, really? Like when rooms sell out, AGU can help people find more rooms?
We help people with their hotel reservations every day between now and December. So we are happy to help you. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Yeah, send us a note. Great. And who's the best person to contact for that? Like, is this something I can advertise in our in our section newsletter? I mean, Merritt's is the best group, but Suzanne, I would always copy Suzanne on it because she's aware of what's going on with them. And just a kind of a little, what happens is everyone, and the reason that we do a soft launch is that you're right, Joel, everyone jumps in, grabs up rooms, and then as soon as the schedules come out on October 2nd, everyone cancels rooms. Right, because then they say, okay, now I know when I'm going to talk. My talk is scheduled on a Tuesday, so I'm going to leave on Thursday, not Friday, or I'm going to stay on Friday because the meeting is so terrific and the programming is so good. I want to stay till Friday. Hopefully, it's that. But so we can get in there and kind of help, but there is some slide in there in terms of who's grabbing what and scheduling what. We are keenly aware and wanting to support students because they often are moving behind the rest of you in terms of being able to secure their rooms. So we want to make absolutely sure that we have rooms that students can get. So if you're having trouble with that, send it to us so that we can intervene and make this a better experience for them. Okay, that's awesome. I had no idea that was something you all could do. So I appreciate that and I'll communicate it to my section. Suzanne's magic bag of tricks, she can do a lot. So please feel free to let her know. Great, thanks.
And Suzanne, there's a question in the chat about how to book a pod. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and I think Nicole's on here, and I know they are getting that ready. Nicole, do you want to give kind of an overview of that process?
Hello, everyone. Yes, the pods reservation system will open through the online program either about mid to late October. So stay tuned for that. We will send out a message and social media content when that is available. There are some just first come, first serve only pods available at the center. And there's also the ones you can reserve through the reservation system.
Thanks for that to you both. Anything else before we move on? All right. Well, I think we're going to talk about OSPA next. So Eric and team are here, Eric and Maggie. So Eric, I'll hand it over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Rosa. Hey, everyone. I'm Eric Hankin. I'm the Assistant Director for Career and Student Programs. So I oversee our suite of travel grant programs and student competitions like OSPA. And I'm joined today by Maggie Walzer, who's the past president of the Science and Society section and the chair of our OSPA Advisory Committee. So I'll give some quick updates on the platform, and then Maggie will walk you through some of the cool things that her committee is working on. So here's just a quick overview, talk about the new software, some updated business rules that we're planning for OSPA this year, as well as some new training resources that we're going to provide to users. And then Maggie will talk about the work on the committee. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so the big news, we have new software for 2023, both for the ASU annual meeting and for the 2024 Ocean Sciences meeting. We'll be utilizing iPoster as the student evaluation program software, whether that be OSPA as it relates to ASU 23 or the student evaluation program for the OSM meeting. So the last 3 years we'd been on the reviewer platform. We started with in 2020 and went through 2022. Needless to say, 3 years in, we were not happy enough with what we were receiving from that software to continue our contract. So we ended that contract in this spring and went for a new software search, and really liked what we saw from iPoster. This is a proven partner that ASU has been working with, I believe, since 2016, since we first started using eLightning presentations, and have continued to work with more and more every year as the meeting has evolved. Some of the advantages that we have with iPoster is that they've done the tough work in terms of being able to talk with ASU's membership database and some of our data there, which can be messy, especially when it comes to Convex, which can be messy data, as well as a conference registration platform. So some of the hardest things that we would have to deal with in any new build, and even in our third year with Reviewer, we were having difficulty with single sign-on or updating things in the within OSPA as it related to updates in the scientific program. Those changes have already been made with iPoster. We know that they work, so that's exciting. They're excited to continue to work with ASU. This makes a lot of business sense for them to add this capability to their platform. Our members are aware of it. They may have used iPoster sometime in the past few years, or they've gone in to view virtual posters, and it's already built into the ASU 23 attendee experience. People are going to be entering iPoster anyway. We're not asking them to go into a new platform. So these are some exciting things. Go to the next slide. We are planning some new business rules too for OSPA for ASU 23. So these are not set in stone, but these are things that we're considering, or highly considering right now. One, and I'll preface it with, the biggest challenge we always face with OSPA, and this is going back since I've been at ASU since 2011, and I know this challenge predates 2011, is finding enough reviewers for all of our student presenters. So what can we do to find more reviewers, as well as make sure that those reviewers are providing a better constructive feedback? One thing that we're going to be asking is that all students upload their presentations to the iPoster platform, regardless of how they are presenting their work. If they're in-person poster, we're still asking that they upload something to iPoster. That can just be a PDF of the poster, or they can actually create an iPoster using the iPoster's resources and information that we'll be providing to help out students creating that. But also for virtual presenters too, they'd be asked to upload a video. This is so we can reach reviewers who are attending virtually, as well as be able to give folks a chance to review content post that 1 week in December when everyone's lives are crazy. So all in the under the auspice of trying to find more judges and be accessible outside of just that 1 core week of fall meeting. Another business rule change that we're looking at for this year is actually requiring all OSPA presenters to evaluate at least one of their peers. This is new. We've had students who aren't OSPA presenters evaluating their peers for 2 years now, and have you seen some nice success there in being able to find new judges? A whole new judge pool. Over a third of our attendees at fall meeting are students, so that addition has been nice. But we're still we've been missing out on 2,000 potential reviewers by not allowing OSPA presenters. So we're going to ask that OSPA presenters also review at least one of their peers. We're going to be providing them with the resources to understand, what goes into effective evaluation feedback, what sort of questions can they be asking, things of that nature. And some key things there. I know this may be a little touchy as it relates to the competition side of OSPA, because we have like this two-headed monster of a program here where we've got 80% of our students just want the feedback. They don't really necessarily care about the competition, but our sections utilize OSPA as a way to identify and award those students who really showcased awesome work and gave great presentations at the meeting, right? So we're going to make sure in the evaluation forms that it's clear what someone's career level is, as well as how they reviewed it. And if the reviewer is an OSPA presenter, because we want our sections to be able to decide whether or not they want to take that feedback from other OSPA presenters into consideration when deciding, making their award decisions. Go to the next slide. We've been working on improving the resources for OSPA over the last couple of years, and we will continue to do that. This is really important, especially with some of the business rule changes I just mentioned, as well as the fact that we're going to have a new platform, right? So we're going to be having resources on how to create an iPoster, how to utilize the system, as well as broader resources on just how to make an effective scientific presentation, whether that be a poster presentation or oral presentation. Some of these are trainings that the Medians team has provided over the last couple of years, but we will be adding on to those. Maggie will get into this, but we've also got a new rubric for the OSPA evaluation form, and we'll be having some more OSPA-specific iPoster platform training for the various user types: students, reviewers, coordinators, liaisons. I went through that super fast. I'm going to monitor the chat, but at this point, I want to turn it over to Maggie to talk about the work that the committee's been doing.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Hi, everybody. So as Eric mentioned, I'm the past president of Science and Society, and I'm currently chairing the OSPA Advisory Committee. So I'm here to present what our committee has been working on this summer. And I also want to just send a huge thanks to Eric, as well as Ricky Anderson on his team, the AGU staff who have been leading us along, and we wouldn't be at this place without them. So Eric alluded to the fact, I don't know, can I just get a show of Zoom hands? How many of you have served as an OSPA coordinator or an OSPA judge in the past few years? I feel like if you've been a judge or a coordinator, you'd be super excited that reviewer is dead and we're moving to iPoster. So you all know that it's a bit of a two-headed beast, as Eric referred to. So we are trying to recognize outstanding student work, but that's only about 5% of our students. And so the committee spent some time digging through the great data that AGU staff have, with kind of post-meeting surveys that go out to evaluators as well as the students, to think about how we could revise the evaluation questions and create a rubric so that it streamlines it a bit, makes it a little easier for reviewers, because it's a crazy week. You're already super busy at fall meeting and you're adding this additional responsibility, but also to make sure that our students are getting real substantive feedback and not just nice talk. That's not helpful to a student who put a lot of effort into their presentation and then you just and all they're seeing is some numbers and the only written comment they get is nice talk or your fonts were bad. So we have streamlined the questions into 3 bins, similar to what they were before, but so we have scientific approach, and we put that up front because what students are really looking for is substantive feedback on their work. So we have scientific approach, and then that only has 3 questions that evaluators have to answer. Then we have presentation effectiveness. So how did they make a good use of the time or the space if it was a poster? Did they kind of tailor their talk or their poster appropriately for the given audience? And are they able to confidently answer questions, talk about their product? So kind of the style of the presentation. And then a couple questions about visuals. Did their figures and tables or overall design of their talk or their poster effectively communicate their work? And were their materials clear and visible to the audience? And throughout, we've tried to change the wording of the questions so that we can eliminate as many biases as possible. So we don't want, say, students who are particularly confident public speakers, or those who are native English speakers getting an unfair advantage over their peers because of the wording of our evaluation questions. And then when you've judged in the past, you'll remember there were a lot of open feedback boxes. And then there was that one question at the end, like anything else to add? And you're like, I'm done. I've already said everything. So we've gotten it down to just 3 open-ended open comment questions. Well, we're asking for feedback on how well the student priced their work into the broader scientific or societal context. Like, where does their work fit into the big picture? And then just feedback on the 1 to 3 strengths and 1 to 3 areas for improvement. And then you'll still have that space to provide comments just to the coordinator. And again, I don't know if we have any coordinators on the line. I've been a coordinator the past couple of years. It's hard because one person's 3 is another person's 4. So it's really hard. You have someone who got 3s out of 5 and you read the comments and they're all glowing and you're like, who do I give the awards to? So we're going to add just a straight up yes, no checkbox. Do you think this student deserves to be considered for an award? To help the coordinators. And now I'm going to just give you an example of one of the rubrics for the first question. So you can see it, but what we're going to do is we're going to send it around. I think Eric's going to share it on the AGU Connect leadership space. If you could look at it, if you could share it with your respective OSPA coordinators. Can you see a Word doc? Excellent. So if you could share it with your OSPA coordinators and get their feedback. So again, we try to remove as much subjectivity and bias from the questions as possible. We also tried to make sure that it was broadly applicable, whether it was an oral presentation or a poster presentation, whether they're a PhD student about to defend or a superstar undergrad, and then also take into account the different sections and whether the questions are applicable to the types of work that are presented in your section. So you'll see we've gotten it down to actually also just 4 numerical score possibilities. We decided we did an even number of scores instead of an odd, so you can't ride the fence and give a 3 out of 5, right? And then for each, we've defined under demonstration of the scientific reasoning, what do we mean by poor, adequate, good, or excellent? So we're hoping that'll help the evaluators to be a bit more objective and consistent across evaluators for any given student. And so you'll see we have a table like this for each of our questions. So again, we're going to send that around. We welcome feedback in the next week or so. And we're also going to be creating some guidelines for judges to think through how to be constructive and maybe to make it a little easier for coordinators and staff so we don't have to, scrub as many inappropriate comments out before sending the feedback back to students. I'm going to turn it back to Eric. We can maybe manage the questions in the chat together.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. I've responded to a few. John Selker just posted one. I'm reading it through.
Oh, yeah.
And given the timing, I may say if we can move on to the next topic and then for open mic, because it looks like, Eric, you've addressed all the questions, unless Eric or Maggie, you want to jump in with anything briefly right now.
I mentioned it in the chat and Maggie mentioned it, but we will be posting the updated rubric and evaluation form to the section leaders community on Connect for you to be able to look at and share with your OSPA coordinators. And we'd appreciate any feedback you have on that, but that will be forthcoming this week and on the earlier side of this week. So appreciate your feedback in advance there. And yes, I'll be monitoring the chat. And thank you, Maggie, for hopping on this morning and sharing.
Thanks to you both. Really appreciate it. Really, really good stuff happening. So let's go to the section spotlight. I think, as everyone knows, as we started these meetings earlier this year, we really wanted to dedicate some time to sections to talk about something that they want to share with everyone, that they want to get input on or discuss. So we've got Allison and Amy here from Atmospheric Sciences. They're going to talk a little bit about student and early career events for AGU 23. And we're going to get their perspective, but again, we want sections speaking to sections, so wanting to get you involved in this as well. So with that, Allison, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, great, thanks, Rosa. I'm just going to apologize in advance. Hopefully my internet or my data is going to hold up. Michigan, our whole internet went down today on the first day of classes, so the data system's a bit everyone's phones are a bit overloaded. So if I start glitching out, it seems like it's been okay, but if I start glitching out, just let me know. I was asked to talk a little bit about the early career events that we're doing at AGU 23 this year. And so there's two slides. I'd like giving an overview of a couple of the events that we're sponsoring at the meeting. So the first one, which I would say is our big sort of signature event, is we started doing an early career mixer. In person 3 years ago. We had one online one also in 2020. And we hold this the Sunday night before the meeting starts from 6 to 8 p.m. And this is a ticketed event. And so usually we sell about 200. We have the room set, usually can hold about 150. And so we have about 200 tickets that we charge for, mostly just to try to get people to show up. So the fees aren't very large. We charge $5 for students and $15 for early career. And usually we have about 50 to 75% show up. So again, the ticketing is sort of a way of helping us to, get better numbers. And it usually always sells out very quickly. And so this is one thing we've tried to figure out, how do we get more people to actually show up? And then at the mixer itself, we invite about 15 scientists from a range of subfields within atmospheric sciences, as well as different job types. So we're trying to bring in people from the private sector, from government labs, NGOs, and other nonprofits, as well as academia. And we host it sort of as like a speed networking kind of event. So we introduce the senior scientists, and I should say, like, not all of them are senior. We've been trying to go with also getting people who are maybe, especially in the private sector, maybe just a year or two out. So because students are really interested in hearing about how they interviewed and prepared for non-academic jobs. And we have them introduce themselves to the group so everyone knows who's in the room. And then we do it rotations, which allows students to kind of figure out who they want to talk with and move into be able to get one-on-one, usually we do like small group times. Maybe we have about like 5 to 6 people per group is the way it works out. And then just in terms of costs, it does end up being rather expensive. We do provide, we have been providing like appetizer level foods. We use drink tickets, and we've also been doing some minimal AV. And so usually it's been running us around 10 to 13K for this type of event. So some of that, we get a little bit of ticket revenue, and then the rest we're covering from section donations and section budgets. But the students and other early career scientists have really used it, have liked it as a way early in the meeting to try to get to know potentially some senior people they'd like to talk to and hear different career advice from a range of different job types. Next slide. The second thing we've been doing, we started this last year, was our first year. We have been doing caregiver awards, and we've been basing that on the model from Biogeosciences. So we started advertising that. Last year, we got 16 applications, and we provided 9 awards of $500 each. We used like a general application form, like a Google form in early October, and then the applications were reviewed by the executive committee. In general, we had a lot of students. It'd be interesting to compare cross section. I've had a lot of questions about this from people online when this came up before from other sections. We didn't have, I'm not sure how much more competitive it's going to get. Of the 9 of the 16 we provided, they were usually asking for childcare support, either if they were attending virtually. So some people were not attending in person, but they were asking for cover cost of babysitter or other childcare. And it's not just for children. We've also done it for elderly or spouses who need, some kind of medical support. We reviewed them, and generally it wasn't too challenging of a decision because a lot of people were using it as a regular travel grant. So as long as they met the criteria for they were using it for some kind of caregiving costs, we went ahead and granted those awards. Next slide, please. And then finally, I just wanted to note there are those 2 types of early career support are run through our executive committee. We also have a separate early career committee, and they do several other events that are organized and run by the committee. So they do a before AGU, like a Know Before You Go webinar that can be helpful for first-time attendees or even students who've been before and are trying to figure out how to, get more out of the meeting. And they run that online in late October or early November. Our early career group is also hosting a discussion with program managers for early career scientists. That's listed in the AGU program, and it's a 1-hour town hall with program managers from NSF, NASA, NOAA, and DOE to allow them, early career scientists, to ask questions about proposal writing, different grant opportunities, and things along those lines. They also run an early career lunch and networking event that's, on the more informal side of things, where they advertise they're going to meet and when, and they do that early in the meeting on Monday. So that allows early career scientists to have, you know, if it's their first time at the meeting, they might not know where to go for lunch or what to do. To meet the members and network and find new friends to, you know, help them through the week. And then finally, the last thing that our early career group does is we host our section level awards. So we submit a session every year into the program, and that allows award winners from the section to have a short presentation on their research. So one early career award, that's the Holton Award, which usually has one awardee, and we have the Ascent Award, which is a mid-career science award, and that usually has about 4 or 5 awardees. And so then we have the early career scientists moderate and run that session for the section. And that's my slides, but I'd be happy to take any other questions about any of those events.
Thanks so much, Allison. A lot of robust activity here with the section. Really, really great example to share. So it looks like there's one question in the chat, but also would love to hear what other people are doing, other sections are doing, if you want to share here. So Allison, the question, or others, are other sections welcome to get involved in the Know Before You Go webinar?
Yeah, I think so. Usually we've been hosting that, again, it's online, so people can join, you know, it's open to any other sections. And just this year, the one thing that I didn't put on the slide is that our atmospheric sciences is joining up with several other sections to do like a trivia night. And so I think, you know, the early career kids are really excited if they had higher viewership. So I don't think the stuff they're presenting isn't section dependent. It's more about the, you know, AGU 23 as a whole.
Great stuff. Anything else, or do others want to come on from other sections, or what are you all working on for AGU 23?
Sorry, before we go ahead. Yeah, sorry, that's my hand.
Yeah, sorry.
Before we go ahead, just a point of clarification. Someone in the chat is saying, I mean, I know each section has their own early career thing. Sounds like they may have different prices for each of them, is my guess. Maybe the ocean science section. Charlotte had a question. She registered and it was $30 for hers. So just flagging if we are charging different things, just HEU maybe be aware of that if that's what you want to do.
Oh, there, I just found it. There we go. I was looking for it in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, and they are priced differently. I don't know if Greg or Josh want to jump in terms of how that gets arranged, but.
Yeah, I can jump in on that. Prices for the early career, the student events are set by sections. So Charlotte, I can go back to make sure that's correct after the meeting. And if it needs updated, I will reach out and make sure that gets fixed.
Thanks. Thank you, Amy, for pulling that out of the chat there. And then we have another comment, a few comments about what folks are doing. All right. So Biogeosciences is hosting a GatherTown early career event the week before the meeting. That's interesting. And then OS is also hosting a mixer with outside academia. Some good examples here where you can share learnings and find out what other folks are doing. So before we go to open mic, does anyone want to share any more in terms of what they're doing at AGU 23? All right, so before we go, we've got 5 minutes thereabouts. I just put into the chat the email address that Josh shared earlier. May have gotten lost with all of the great activity in the chat. Commit this address to memory, AGU/sectionhelp@agu.org. And that is the email. I think you all should be familiar with it, but that's how you can get in touch with the section support team. That includes a few folks on my team, including Josh and Greg. this is not to get in the way of your already great outreach to other staff at AGU, but if you have questions as a section, particularly on some of the operational pieces of your role, certainly get in touch with us and we'll get you in touch with the right folks at AGU, or we'll be able to answer for you. And I have a note here. Janice, were you trying to come online with something?
No, I think I sneezed and it caused my square to light up. So sorry, folks. It's allergy season for me. I don't have issues in the spring, but I do in the fall. So go figure. I have to be different. So I'm sorry. I wasn't.
No worries. I just want to make sure we saw and heard you if you wanted to say something. So anything else? We're now at open mic. So anything else you want to talk about, or questions that didn't get addressed in the active chat here? No? All right. Well, our next meeting, I believe, is September 29th, meaning the section leader call. As I mentioned, we're going to devote that call to honors innovations, and you all will see more about that in the consent agenda, actually, in the council meeting that will come before that in mid-September. And we are also going to be highlighting some canvassing committees. There's some canvassing committees, I think, that do this very well and have strategy behind how they canvass for nominations. And this is kind of the right time to be talking about that. So we'll be reaching out to some of you, some of the sections who have canvassing committees, and asking if you'll help us kind of put on that session in late September. Any other questions? Then I will let you go. As usual, I'm going to make my usual ending pitch. If this is your meeting, if you have topics that you would like staff to present, or as sections that you want to host a conversation with other sections on in our section spotlight, please let me know. A lot of our meetings, the agendas, including this one, really came about based on the feedback I've gotten from you after the prior meeting. So keep it coming. And we appreciate everything you do as you volunteer your time with AGU. And I'll see if anyone else, Janice or Lauren or anyone, want to jump in and as we close out.
Well, I'm happy to say a couple of words only. Thank you all. You're an awesome set of volunteers, and I want to go to all these parties that you guys are having. So hopefully I can do that in San Francisco. But this meeting, I know, is so important to our community, and so important, especially to students in early careers. So thanks to all of you for making it successful and working so hard on it. I also want to thank Maggie. I don't know if she's still on the phone, but as you all know, OSPA is a heavy lift, and she's done a great job completely leading the effort to revise the program along with our great staff. And I urge all of you to participate fully as you can, so that we can pressure test it this year and see how it goes. But as you all know, this is a really important opportunity for students, early career, all our young people who really, really count on all of you to provide the feedback they need to grow their careers. So thank you all so much for everything you're doing and everything you're going to do, because it's not done yet. It won't ever be done. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Janice. And again, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next month, but also keep talking to us in the meantime. See you later.
Bye-bye.